in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. This is Drayton Boylston. I'm here with my pal, Gary Henson, and this is the Coaching Crucible, and welcome to the holiday edition. And I'm so glad all of you are here. And Gary, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah. Hello to everyone, and Merry Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. Just wherever you happen to be, we've got people from all around the world here. So however you celebrate this holiday season, we wish you a Merry Christmas and anything else that just is a way of you expressing what happens this time of year. So thanks for being here. We greatly appreciate it. And again, this is the Coaching Crucible, so hopefully you're in the right place, and we've got a nice group of people here today, and Gary and I are fired up as always to get this going and talk about the things that no one else in our industry will talk about. Right, Gary?
Amen.
And to start it off, you know, Gary and I were chatting before, and given everything that has been going on since last Friday with what happened in Connecticut, yeah, for us it has been such a defining moment in terms of talking about and communicating with everyone that we can our responsibility as coaches to help others heal. And what I'd like to do, just a fair advance warning for all of you, I would love, and Gary would as well, get some interaction going and to talk about ways that we can help others. You know, we did a program a number of years ago, Gary, called Coaching is the Cure for This Crisis, and we talked about coaching being the only thing that is available worldwide that doesn't have borders, doesn't have religion, doesn't have politics, and we're simply here to serve other human beings and organizations. And when any part of the world goes through what we have experienced here in North America, it is our duty to step up and to help as many people as we can. And I talked to a number of people this week that were feeling almost paralyzed. And what can we do? And it seemed to be more about them and what they were processing versus flipping this around and thinking of ways that we can help other people. So what I'd like to do, and this is a challenge Gary and I have for all of you today, is to think of one thing, just pick one thing today that you can do to help someone else. Help an organization, help an individual that might be having a challenging time dealing with this. You may know someone that's very close to the situation, but what one thing can you do today to help someone? And what I'd like to do, if you can raise your hand, if you've got some thoughts as they come to you, we'll take you off of mute as you raise your hands, and I'd like to get some discussions going about this and get some ideas formulating to help others think about ways that they can assist other people. And it's so important for all of us to think about ways we can serve each other's in times of crisis like this and help them get to the other side.
So, Drayton, if I could jump in for just a second.
Absolutely, Gary. Yes.
A couple comments. Yeah, what we're thinking, folks, is we're not talking about donating $1 million to a particular fund. We're talking about how could you make a difference for another human being today? It could be dropping a dollar in the Salvation Army bucket. It could be going out of your way to help someone or say hi to someone or to talk to somebody who seems lonely or frustrated given the season that we're in and the circumstances that took place last week. So just what all are you thinking? What comes up for you when we talk about making a difference for another human being? And that's a term that I use almost every day, but it may not mean the same thing to you as it means to me. So let's hear from some of you.
Yeah, let's do. So who would like to offer up? Because just fair game too, folks. We've got you here on the dashboard, and Gary and I are not averse to calling on people, are we, Gary?
No, we're not.
Yeah, so what percolates for you guys? What pops up when we ask a question like this? What can you do to serve another human being in some capacity today? You know, what one thing can you do? And I see my friend Scott is here, and Scott, I'm going to take you off mute because I know you've got some brilliance you want to share with some people, don't you?
Well, I don't know how brilliant it is. I've always got something to share.
Nice, nice. Well, what pops up for you, Scott, when you think about things like this?
For me, as a human being and as a coach, it's about holding space for other people who need to be heard. When you and Gary were talking about what we could do, I immediately flashed back to yesterday, and I sat down with a person I'd never met before who came in to see me having some business issues, and it turned out to be more than that, of course. It was more life issues, and he has no one to talk to. He has no family, no friends.
Wow.
And he's struggling in his business, and it's affecting his life, obviously, and came in looking for some marketing solutions, and ultimately the conversation over a course of an hour and a half was more about his life, where he's been, where he is, where he really wants to go, no idea how to get there, and it was a real wake-up call. Even it always is with even as a coach working with clients all the time, it's always amazing to me how people just need to be heard. You don't need to fix anything sometimes. Yeah. You just have to be present with them. And he left here feeling pretty motivated, and he had a lot to think about, and I feel like that as long as I can continue to do that with people, whether it's my family, friends, colleagues, or people that I don't know, I feel like I'm doing everything I can do, and it makes me feel good because it comes right back to me and reinforces our need to share our love and our compassion and empathy for each other.
Oh, that is so beautifully said. That is beautiful, Scott, and that's exactly what we're talking about. And how many people, and certainly in any part of business, don't have that sounding board, don't have someone that really listens to them. And how many of us as individuals don't have that? And think about our family members. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was going to say, I think, too, that what motivates me to continue in the coaching field is that I get that from my clients. And so every time I talk to a client or I even talk to anybody about what I do, I'm getting that feedback automatically for myself. And so it's a synergetic process. And without that synergy, people burrow in and they don't know how to get out. And so it is very simple in its form, but it's so impactful and complex after as a result, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that everybody should participate in it with each other. Just Gary said at the beginning, just say hello to somebody.
Yeah.
Make eye contact with somebody. That's enough a lot of the times to change the course of their day.
And it could change the course of their life. We don't know the full impact that we have, that pebble in the pond approach. We just don't know. So it's incumbent upon us to share this love and caring and feeling of service that we embody and personify on a daily basis as much as we can. Because Gary, I would love to hear what you say about this, but I think it's very contagious. I think when people see this, it is contagious. And they'll go out, Scott, that person that you met with, they will go out and probably spread that. What you gave to them, they will take that to other people as well.
I hope so.
Well, where I was going to go with it, in terms, certainly I agree with the concept of being contagious, and certainly the ripple in the pond effect. And in all three of our lives, we probably experienced just absolutely a ton of that. Mm-hmm. But what really hit me, I mean, when you use words like compassion and being there for another person and making a difference, really hit me when Scott said being the feeling of being listened to. Mm-hmm. That's something that we don't talk about a lot outside of the realm of the coaching industry, and that's something that's I think people really miss in their life. Is a lot of people don't feel listened to, and they have acquaintances, they have friends, they have people that they get around, they have noise around them, but how many people really make eye contact with another human being and say, wow, that was what you said is really something, or I really feel happy for you or sad for you or whatever. And we're all so busy, and we all have all these electronic devices that we're tending to. Just being listened to is such a great attribute to have, and a gift to give somebody.
Boy, it really is, isn't it? Isn't that the ultimate validation of a human being?
Yeah. Is
to feel listened to and appreciated. And I believe it's the greatest gift we can give anyone that we encounter. You know, if you're a coach, it's 24/7. You know, this is not something that we turn on and off. It's who we are. And I think the more that we can, you know, I just got the visual, Gary, of, you know, somebody down on their phone, just, you know, head down, walking down the street. And the more we can inspire people to look up, to engage other human beings. And look at this. I made a post yesterday, day before yesterday, about we need to approach this as a village on a worldwide basis, and that we have this interdependence because we are a village, and it's incumbent upon all of us to appreciate this interdependence, and that I'm as responsible for you, Gary, as you are for me. And we owe it to any human being that we encounter to respect them as a member of our global village. And again, without borders, without religion, without politics, it's human being to human being. And I truly believe that as coaches, we can spread this word, and we can spread this concept, and it will continue to grow.
Well, I believe that too, and it sounds big and it sounds lofty, but that's what we're called to do, and that's what we claim that we do, and it's one brick at a time, one person at a time, one life at a time.
It is, and I love what you said, Gary. This is a calling. You know, there's a reason we're here. There's a reason we're spending time talking about these things. Everyone that is on this call right now is inspired to help other people and feel that sense of duty and that calling that's part of this magical thing called coaching. So let's ramp it up, folks. Let's take it to that next level. Let's impact as many people as humanly possible, and do think about, you know, what one thing can you do today that would help someone that's going through a challenging time. And continue that on a daily basis throughout the holidays and throughout the year. Just when you get up in the morning, think of and ask yourself, how may I serve, how may I serve, how may I serve? And you will be amazed at what will happen in your life.
Yeah, notice you said your life. Transformation happens to those that are transforming others. You know, you're making a difference for another person. You're really having an impact on your life, and the ripple effect works both ways. You know,
it sure does. Yeah, I love what Scott said about that, Gary. Just in terms of, you know, we call it a big boomerang, and it's, you know, whatever you put out is what you get back. And if it's good, you're going to get great stuff back, and same if it's not so good. So, you know, it's incumbent upon us to put all these good things out there that we can and have it be this contagious thing that takes off. And we've all seen it. So if you have any other comments around this, just raise your hand and we can come around to you. We love the interaction. We love to get people involved. We love to get your thoughts, so keep that in mind. We don't want this just to be a lecture series. We want engagement from all of you. And we've got some pretty interesting topics to talk about today, Gary. Do you want to jump into that first one that you and I were talking about?
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
No holds barred.
Yeah, so the first one was, and there's so much flying around out there in terms of what coaches charge, what they make, how they do it, how much they make on an annual basis, and we really wanted to hit this head on so you get a sense of what's happening out there on a global basis too, in terms of what people are charging, how they're doing it, you know, what the reality is. Because I find, Gary, that so many times coaches undervalue themselves. The first thing we tell people when they come in our programs is, hey, leaving this today, we want you to double whatever you're charging. Take it and double it. And And it's that sometimes that lack of confidence with people that they diminish their worth and therefore don't have that level of confidence that enables them to charge what they're truly worth. Now remember, folks, this work that we do, this magical thing called coaching, transforms lives and organizations. And think about what that is worth. I think about these conversations I've had with coaches where they said, in one session with this person, they figured out this 6-figure thing or this 7-figure thing, or they found happiness that they'd never, ever had an experience before. What is that worth? To help someone or an organization transform themselves, what is that worth? So Gary, let's talk real numbers too. So do you want to start off just in terms of, in your world, what you see people charging and how they do it? And one of the things that's a big topic too is, do you trade hours for dollars? Or do you look at this in a little different fashion as well?
Yeah, and we may or may not have time to get all that in, because I am extremely, extremely opinionated about this topic. And I just want to give a little context to this, Drayton. So when we talk about doubling it, or when we talk about charging, the first golden rule for me is I always encourage all of our students and our graduates to not charge by the hour. That model is a broken model, in my opinion. It hasn't worked for years, and so you want to come up with a fee, a monthly fee, or a way of charging. You can do it monthly, quarterly, annually. There's a lot of ways to do it. And what we teach our students is that the number should be, when they're getting started out, $350 to $450 an hour, put into a monthly rate. And if you equate that out to 4 meetings a month, and you're talking about working with somebody in an organization where they have employees, you're probably starting at about $2,000 a month. And then on top of that, I want to add, I like to see a 1-year agreement with a 30-day out clause, and both the client and the coach holding each other accountable to a set of goals or objectives that they agree to go for together during that 1 year. Now, I know I said a lot, and a lot of that doesn't have to do with the dollar amount, but if we don't put a context in there, then we're talking about throwing numbers out, and many people may not understand what that is and how that's applicable. So the other thing I want to add to that is that I know coaches that charge $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 an hour and more for one-on-one meetings with people, and as you said, make a difference for that person and give them that one idea in a couple of hours that has a 6-figure or 7-figure kind of implication to it. So the reason why I bring that up is I'm not suggesting anybody do or don't do that, and I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. But what I am saying is if you undervalue yourself and you're charging somebody $500 per month, I'm just making up a number, and you're going to have 4 or 5 meetings with them or 4 or 5 phone calls with them during the month, and they have those kinds of breakthroughs, and you're that good of a coach, are they really going to have and feel the impact of the breakthrough if they're paying you $100 a session or $200 a session? But if you charge them more, not to be just charging them more, but if you charge value commensurate with the kind of coaching you're delivering, even at a higher rate, you're still not charging enough compared to the breakthrough and the life-altering moments that they have with you if you follow the simple formulas that your organization, my organization teach, and that you have a methodology, a way of working with people that really succinctly delivers value. So those are my opening comments about it. I know you're opinionated as well, so let's hear what you have to add to that.
Yeah, we tend to be lightning rods, so that's a good thing. It's a very, very important subject, and Gary, you and I are pretty much in sync with this, and I'll tell folks exactly how we do it. And one of the things that I love what you said about the trading hours for dollars is broken. Well, it's broken to the point where a lot of the big law firms, if they haven't shifted, they're getting ready to shift in terms of doing things differently and not trading hours for dollars. And there is a big change afoot in terms of what people, paying for what you get out of it versus this trading time for dollars. So keep that in mind. And folks, I'm here to tell you, we're not accountants and we're not attorneys, and we don't do linear things that are just, time stamping and doing very regimented, rote things. We help people and organizations transform. And there really isn't a price tag you can put on that. And as such, you need to puff your chest out, hold your shoulders back, and carry yourself like that's what you do. Because that's what we're here to do for individuals and organizations. And feel great about the change and the impact that you can have. And know that even if you're charging $5,000 an hour, it's still not commensurate with what you're worth. And I'll throw out some radical ideas, Gary, some things we've done over the years. In addition to our very, very handsome retainers that we work on, we also talk to clients right up front. We want to be so valuable for you that you're going to cut us a piece of equity.
Yeah.
And we want to be that kind of team member and have you approach our relationship as you would any great, valuable team member inside your organization. So imagine, folks, that conversation. This is not the coach saying, oh, would you mind paying $100 an hour? That's kind of the conversation I'm hearing from a lot of people. It's more, hey, we know for a fact that we're going to be such a powerful impact player for your organization that we should talk about these things up front. And I love what Gary said about that year commitment. Folks, don't tiptoe into this. We are a minimum of 1 year. Now, with that 1 year, and we tell people flat out, if you're going to do this, and this is the candid conversation, the tough love we have up front with people is, and this is a two-way interview, by the way, we talk to people and say, if you're committed only for 3 months, we can't engage with you because it's going to take a minimum of 6 months to a year and probably longer to have that kind of change that you want. Now, if you are ready to commit to that, then we should chat further. And you're starting to do this, making sure that there's a good matchup and alignment of values and expectations going into these relationships. And you should be charging accordingly. You should have, our average engagement lasts about 3 years. And the same should hold true for all of you. This is not life coaching. These are people with the resources to pay you handsomely and to appreciate what you bring, and to also, one thing to think about is expanding as you get into organizations in terms of coaching more people and bringing in suites of services and other players to help you do certain things. So you're building a cornerstone for your business with every single account that you have. We work on a retainer basis, just as Gary was saying, and we do it. Our model is 3 30-minute sessions via phone a month. And our people start at $2,000 a month for that service. So you can do the math. I mean, it's a very nice model to follow. And then there's upside in other ways. We talk about bonuses. We talk about equity. We talk about a number of things with our potential and current clients so they get, and we bring it to their attention. We ask them, how valuable is this for you? And you continually meet and exceed their expectations, and therefore your perceived and real value will go absolutely through the roof.
Beautifully said.
And so what else comes to mind, Gary? Thank you. And what else comes to mind in terms of what would be beneficial for folks to hear around this whole subject?
The other thing that we're really committed to at businesscoach.com is we have a set of ground rules. So it's not just coaching, and the client is paying for coaching, so they feel like they have a say in the direction that the relationship goes. They do have a say. We want to serve them. We want to make a difference for them. But we also have an agenda from the standpoint of our methodology really works. So we want to make sure that they set aside time, that they commit to doing their homework assignments, that they're prepared for the meetings, that they have just topics for discussion that they want to bring up if they need to be. We want to make sure they understand that we're going to hold them accountable to their goals, their dreams, their vision for the future, and what they want to achieve out of the relationship. And again, in the business coaching world, in our case, we're dealing with the people at the top, and sometimes bring in middle managers and upper management and VP level people. And so when the organizations get larger than 10, 15, 20 employees, then the fees go from $2,000 a month to $3,000 a month to $4,000 a month, depending on how many employees they have. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we spend lots of extra time there, but there's more responsibility and there's more people that we bring in to the full, and a bigger challenges, bigger games, and bigger rewards for the client. What you keep saying, Drayton, and I want to make sure everybody's hearing us. A lot of people, when they get started, they don't have clients, and they struggle a little bit, and they don't have that confidence, and their chest isn't puffed out, and so they think that lowering their fees or taking gigs for 3 months or compromising their situation is going to help them get the clients and help. And all it does is it deteriorates the relationship, and it gets it started off on the wrong foot. So you want to have a solid foundation, a client who commits to being coachable at some level and is willing to understand that you're bringing to the table a powerful conversation that's going to make a difference in their lives, oftentimes spill over into their family lives, into the rest of the relationships that they have. And the other thing I wanted to add is you said that your average, for your students, your average relationship last 3 years, we've tracked ours, and in the last 20 years that we have been doing this, we've tracked ours, and the average is 1 year agreement, 95% plus of the time, and 23 months is the average time frame that the client stays with us.
Yeah, think about building your business based upon that, folks. So you have really, you don't need, if you want a six-figure practice, and let's say a low six-figure practice, so $100,000 to $300,000 a year. If you employ these types of frameworks for your relationships, you just need a handful of clients. And what we know is when you have a 23-month relationship, as Gary's people do, you get in and you keep expanding. And it started out at X, and it's X times 3 by the time that 23rd month comes around. And that's what you can do. And, two things popped out for me, Gary, when I was listening to you speak. And one is the accountability partner piece is so huge in this. And what we find is that there are a lot of coaches, going back to this confidence issue or lack thereof. You need to hold these people accountable. And you need to make sure that you play that toe-to-toe, eyeball-to-eyeball role with these folks and be there providing a service that no one else will. And that's such an important piece of what we do, is being this accountability partner, and we call it using the velvet whip. But you make sure that they take this seriously, that if you value this, like they miss a call or miss an appointment and it's always an emergency and you always have to move things around, that is no relationship. That's going to continue to erode to the point where they're not going to value and respect you. You need to hold them absolutely accountable, and if they ever have to miss an appointment, it is for a unbelievably good reason, and they'll treat, what we say to people is, you need to treat our time together as sacred, and you build everything else in your calendar around it because your business and your life depend on it. And that may sound a little overly dramatic, but that's the kind of language we use when we're talking about bringing a client in. And think of this as a two-way street. You're not there to sell anybody anything. You're there to see if it's a good fit. And that puts a whole different spin on things, folks, when you have these conversations. The other piece, Gary, that I think we need to speak to is that we get a lot of questions around, should we do it in person? Should we do it over the phone? And what I know is that we do at least 95% of our meetings on the phone. We find that it's more powerful and it's certainly more effective for both parties. If indeed you elect to do things in person, you need to factor that into what your monthly retainer is. So there's drive time. In-person meetings always last longer than phone meetings. I mean, always. So you need to factor that time in. Our ratio is about 3 to 4 to 1 in terms of time it takes, drive time, and all that stuff, versus in-person meetings versus over the phone. So you need to factor that in. If we were going to do in-person meetings, it would be at least 3 times as much as it is for our phone meetings, just due to our time allocation. And Gary, what are your thoughts on that?
Ditto. Our students is about 50-50, so about 50% over the phone, 50% in person. Again, it's a little different in the business coaching model when you're meeting with multiple people sometimes, and you're bringing in people that are going to need to be a brief part of a meeting, or bring somebody in for 15 minutes to a meeting. And again, the fees go up accordingly. The more time you spend with them, and you've got to include your drive time and your all the other factors, or they can come to your office if it's in person, and you're disciplined, and you can do that. They can come to your office, and you can set the clock. Many coaches will just merely set the time clock, or look at their clock and say, okay, we've got 1 hour today, or 45 minutes, whatever the time frame is, and be very diligent. And the more you structure your life, the way Drayton talked about the relationship, you need to hold this time as sacred. You need to set your time aside. You need to make sure you do your assignments and you're prepared for your meetings, and that you're on time, and all those things. When you talk to someone like that, they then get the impression, and they hold your time sacred as well, and they understand that part of what you're doing when you're holding them accountable is showing them a form of discipline that they don't have anywhere else in their life. And after all, Drayton, who is there to hold someone accountable? Who's the person in someone's life that holds them accountable if it's not a coach?
Yeah.
It can't be a family member. It can't be a business partner. And there's some accountabilities that take place, but really the person that can come in and can be completely objective about a relationship and hold someone accountable is a coach.
Yeah, so well said. Yeah.
And it's such a great service that you're providing people when you hold them accountable.
Yeah, it's so true. Think about business owners. Think about high-level executives. These people are high-ego people that rarely are held accountable, and therefore they can be gunslingers. And when you come in and I'll use the word fearless fashion with these clients or prospects, if it's early on and you're just having a discussion around this stuff, and you have a little bit of that swagger, not arrogance or anything, but that knowing that what you do is so valuable that you're there to let them know up front that they need to take it incredibly seriously and be dedicated to it, unlike they're dedicated to anything else in their life at this moment. Not their, marriages and things like that, but from a business initiative standpoint, this needs to be right up there with making sure the payroll happens every 2 weeks. So you need to come across as competent, and just this knowing that what you provide is incredibly valuable to these individuals. And I want to piggyback on what Gary said about the whole discipline thing. What I have found is that there are so many coaches that we call it from the merchant mindset, where they come in and it's all big hearts. All of us have this, right? We have big hearts, and we tend to be a little less disciplined than maybe some others. And you have to hone these skills and build your accountability, and hopefully all of you have your own coach, to make sure that you have the discipline to bring to these relationships, because you're going to need to demonstrate that when you're talking about holding these business people accountable. It's a big piece of this.
This stuff is so important, ladies and gentlemen, and it's I'm so glad that that we're having this discussion, because I think just too many people undervalue what they're bringing to the table when they're coaching another human being. And as Scott was saying, have that person feel listened to, have that person feel that you understand what it is that they're going through, and that you're helping them go through something that they're maybe getting a little bit emotionally stuck or confused on. And you want to, when they get emotional, when they get too, I'll take it another direction. One of the things I work with our students on Drayton is don't let them celebrate so long either. You know, some people they have a big victory and they have a huge breakthrough, and it results in dollars and cents a return on their investment. Then they want to celebrate for 3 months. So,
yeah, celebrate with them, but do it for 24 hours. We'll give you that.
So people have, we're dealing with humanity here, ladies and gentlemen, and people have habits, and they learn habits from other people. And some are good habits, some are not good habits, and you want to let them celebrate for a little bit, and then say, okay, what's next? We've now accomplished something really great. Now, what else can we accomplish that's also great, that's going to continue to take you to that next level, whatever that next level is?
Mm-hmm.
And it might not always be money. It might be, it might be people arguing with their employees or their employer. It might be people getting reprimanded, and you're working with them because they've gotten reprimanded for their behavior, and you want to get to the root of that. And when they have that breakthrough, it's something they don't have to deal with anymore. They understand why they've had that behavior, and now you're offering them a new future. And along with the new future is a potential raise or bonus or future rewards, and lots of benefits come with that. And once they experience those benefits, they'll understand that there's more. There's more than celebrating, and it's more than a one-time event. What's next?
Mm-hmm. And what I love about that, Gary, is that you help them see, we call it the to-be state, where things are going to be, where their life will be in the future, and put that yardstick out there at a really high level, folks, and perpetually ask more of them, because they haven't had anyone probably tap that side of themselves, and they're probably very accomplished, yet they have the capacity to do that much more. And it's so important to help build this integration and this balance around. It's not just focusing on the money, it's a holistic approach. It's a 360 of their life. This is where that sliver of life coaching component comes into this work that we do in organizations. As Gary said, they're human. These are human beings, and we need to help them be healthy and balanced and integrate everything in their lives to the point where they're hitting on all cylinders, they're fulfilled, and they're making a positive impact on everyone around them, their friends and family and employees. it's a big shift for a lot of people that are just usually focused on the money and the things. And we need to bring that perspective. That's part of that whole, we call it being a trusted advisor, bringing that approach to this work versus just focusing on things that are isolated in nature and one-dimensional.
Good stuff. I love this topic, and I love the approach we're taking to this topic. I'm surprised. I think a lot of the people that are listening today think you and I get together and rehearse this stuff, and we practice being in agreement with each other. And I didn't realize how many different areas and facets of coaching that you and I are pretty doggone aligned on. I was expecting. I kind of had my baseball bat out. And not my velvet whip, my iron whip out. I was going to put my shield in case I had to defend myself. But we have quite a bit in common, and a lot of it is common sense. A lot of this stuff, once you get beyond the initial steps and you start seeing the results that you get with your clients, and you see the profound difference that you can make with clients. I may have told the story before in other calls. I apologize, but I remember one day leaving a client of mine. They had a couple hundred employees, and it was two gentlemen that owned this business together. And they were kind of different personalities and pretty different in their approach to some of their business dealings. And it happened to be around the first of the month, and the controller caught me in the hallway and said, "Hey, I got a check for you here for your monthly retainer fee. Why don't you come back to my office?" And I went in and worked with them, and I was driving back, and these guys both said that it was one of the best coaching sessions that they had ever had, and they really had, each one of them had individual breakthroughs, and their partnership had a tremendous breakthrough. And I'm driving, it's a nice sunny day, and I'm driving back towards the office, and I'm thinking to myself, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I would do this for free. I got this check in my hand, but I would do this for free to get that kind of feedback and to see these guys who have had so many conversations that didn't end up well, and so many disputes over silly things, and so many egotistical conversations with one another, pushing on each other, and in an hour session really came to some great resolve and gave them some great homework assignments and some great books to read and some things to forward the game for their partnership. And when you see those kinds of changes, when you see those kinds of the difference you can make with some of these people, it really, really clarifies for us how the fees that we charge, even when we charge a lot, is still not enough, because the difference, the impact that we make on these people, and it's in many cases life-altering, Drayton, and life-lasting. Some of these breakthroughs they get to keep them for the rest of their life.
It's so true, Gary. It's so true. And first of all, we're not going to let any business owners hear this recording when you said you would do what you do for free.
Yeah, thank you. We don't need to spread that rumor around.
Yeah, the important thing, folks, is to come to a happy place and a peaceful place about the whole money thing. What we tell people is you need to earn more to serve more. That's where how we approach this. You need to earn more to serve more. And Gary, I'm just going to offer up just one session that I'd like to talk about for a moment that I had with this individual. If you ever question your worth and value to an organization, think about what I'm getting ready to tell you. I had this gentleman, I had worked with him for a year. Very, very challenging client, but incredibly rewarding. And he was going through some major struggles with his business. And he called me up and he said, "Can you come over to my house?" He happens to be a neighbor as well. And he said, "Can you come over to my house? I just, and we set an appointment." He said, "I just really want to talk about this. Get out of the office and talk about this stuff." And so I did. And during that time, we talked for about 30 minutes. And then I looked at him and asked him one question. And that one question made him $4 million.
Oh my gosh.
And it was 5 seconds of work. And we can have that kind of impact all the time. Because he had this huge blind spot about this one thing that I could see clear as a bell. And I simply asked him one question about that, and you should have seen his face. And he knew exactly what it meant to him financially and what it meant to him emotionally, too, because this really entailed him making a major decision within his business. So, folks, what was that worth to him? Was it worth paying me? People think a lot of money for my time. Oh, yeah. Many multiples of that. And just hold that out whenever you think that I can't charge that. You are one question away, one observation away as a trusted advisor from helping an individual make a dramatic change in their business and or their lives. And please remember that. That's the magic of what we do.
So, Drayton, thank you for sharing that story. It's a great story, and in my listening to that, it occurred to me that some of the people listening will say, "Well, but that's Drayton can do that. He's the leader of Executive Coaching University, and Coach Gary can do that. He's the founder of BusinessCoach.com. He's all this and all that, and he's been doing that. And I just want to emphasize that, and don't take this personally. Don't take this personally, great. But it's not that you're so unique or so brilliant or so special that you can do that. That's not the point. It's that you have the confidence and the understanding of what it is that this process is worth and what people get in exchange for the time that they spend with you.
I think it's a great point, Gary. So how many people sit back and you and I both have heard this many times,
Sure.
where, well, you guys can do that, but I can't. Well, yes, you can. You could have asked that exact same question. It's a matter of, in fact, I can think of probably 100 coaches, Gary, that would have had the exact same observation and the exact same question at that point in time. It's a matter of putting yourself in a situation of success and being confident enough and caring enough, just being there in service to this person to have that observation that can dramatically help them shift themselves.
Yeah, great. I hope you're okay with this, but I have to tell this story. This is just too perfect because this one's not about you and it's not about me. So this is one of our students was a pretty successful IT guy. He was in his late 40s and had a pretty good run, a pretty good career, and really had developed a lot of hardware and software things. Had done pretty good financially in his life, and one of our classes one day he said the same thing. Coach Gary, you know all these people, and you're an extrovert, and he says, I don't know where I'm going to get any clients, and I just don't know how I'm going to build this business model, this business coaching practice that you talk about. So the next day he comes in and he says, boy, I sure listened to you a lot last night, and you said it wasn't necessarily people that I know, but maybe it's people that I know that know other people, and so on and so forth. And I got to explaining this to my wife, that this special guy, Coach Gary, can do this and that. And she says, well, honey, you and I go out to dinner with my clients all the time, and my clients are all entrepreneurs. They're all millionaires. They're all very wealthy people, and they all love you. Why don't you talk to some of those people? And then a couple of weeks later, he called me, and he says, I have a database, and the database has several hundred attorneys, law firms in it. And I'm friends with a lot of these people, and I know I was thinking of them as clients for my other business, but maybe that's transferable to business coaching. Maybe I can contact him. So a year later, I talked to him. He's doing pretty good. He's probably making close to $100,000, and he's got, I don't know, 8 clients, 10 clients, and a lot of it of law firms and so on and so forth. And one of his clients introduced him to a individual, and the individual needed, I think it was funding for his business, but I'm not sure. So he met with him to coach him, and he says, "Wow, this is a great idea. You should be taking this. You should be taking this product to market. You're sitting on a gold mine here, and there's people that you can go out and find investors, and this thing is a multi-million-dollar process. And if I help you, I'll take a smaller coaching fee, but I want a piece of the action." Drayton, in less than 6 months, he turned a 6-month coaching relationship into a $500,000 payday.
Nice.
Because he took a small piece of the pie and said, if we do this and I coach you through finding the right people and putting this together, you will be a multi-millionaire, and I want a piece of it. And the guy said, well, shoot, if you're going to do that for me, sure. He signed the agreement.
Nice.
Wrote him a check for $500,000.
Nice. Oh, and folks, those are the kind of possibilities that you have and the potential that you have with any of these relationships. And that's where we have to look at this as no limitations. Be entrepreneurial. Look at this from, we call it looking at it from 40,000 feet. You know, just hover above the business and see these things. And Gary, that's a great example in our world of being a trusted advisor. So bringing, not just question like, a lot of coaches do. It's more, hey, would you like some direct feedback? And I see this, and help them get to a different place. I love that story. And that potential exists for anyone that has a coaching relationship right now. And we hope you think of things in a different fashion. And Gary, I got a note here, a question from Dan. He goes, "You got to tell us what that question was."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, great observation, Dan. Yeah. So here was the question. Here's the setup with that little vignette. I'll just create a little vignette for you. So I was chatting with this guy. He was the CEO of his company. He had sold the company into an ESOP, an employee stock ownership plan. And because of that, he was still engaged as a CEO, but he had sold the company, but still was a major shareholder because they had this big note that they owed him. Well, come to pass, he was having a lot of challenges going from owner to CEO and really serving at the behest of the board of trustees. And he was getting a lot of flack, a lot of challenges from his senior people because now he didn't own it lock, stock, and barrel, and it was almost like an uprising that was happening. And it was just very interesting dynamics. So we were sitting there chatting, and he was complaining about all these people and what was going on, and gosh, I don't have any more control, and it's just not the same. And I looked at him and I said, I need to stop you right there. And he said, why? And I said, why don't you just buy back the company? And that was the question. And I'll fast forward. Just 2 months ago, the deal closed. He made an additional $4 million, and he'll be netting 7 figures every year for the foreseeable future on top of that. So those are the types of observations and the questions we can bring that bring unbelievable value to these people that we're serving. So Dan, does that help you? Dan, I'm going to take you off mute here. Does that help you, Dan?
Yeah, that's a great story. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the question. That was a little observation there. I love it. Yeah, what was that question? Yeah, well done, Dan. Thank you very much.
Great story, Drayton, and we've kind of come full circle back to where we were with Scott because I don't think your question, and again, I've got to back up here. I'm a big proponent that coaching is not asking people questions.
Yep.
That's a very, very small part of the entire coaching process. And it's not necessarily giving people answers either, but you don't have to hide or hold the answers back from them. But where I saw that your power was there, right, is not that you're a Harvard MBA and you have these words of brilliance to say to him. And again, don't take that personally. I'm just saying it's not that. It's the question came because you were doing what Scott was saying, and that is you were being a great listener. He got listened to in a way that he probably did not know that he was going to get listened to. And when you listen at that level, and when you are present with your client, and you're in their world, and you're committed to not making a buck, but committed to making a difference for these people, then you can hear things that even though they're right in front of them, even though they're actually saying the words, and you're doing the listening, you are making a difference for them, because then you can say, well, here, to me, why don't you just buy the company back?
Yeah.
There's the dilemma right there.
Yeah.
You know, an ESOP is a great idea, and transactions happen every day, but not all of them end up the way that we initially anticipated they would go. So if you have someone listening to you, and you have someone that's committed to what you're committed to, they can hear some things that you just can't see or experience or understand in your world. And that's what value do you want to put on that, right? I mean, let's assume this wasn't a $4 million situation, and let's just assume that he got his peace of mind back, and he got his sanity, and his passion came back, and he grew the company. And let's just say we couldn't put a dollar amount on it in terms of the actual transaction itself. Look at what value you created in a very brief conversation.
Yeah, it's a great point, Gary. And what he just took me out to dinner just last week, as a matter of fact, as CEO, and he said, I have so much more peace of mind now. And he literally said just what you were saying. He said, I can't put a price tag on that. And you could just tell his body language and the way he carried himself was completely different than it was a year ago when we had that conversation. So, Gary, what I hope in all of this today is that we gave a sense of, hey, this is reality in the business world, gave all of you a sense of how vital and powerful and impactful the work that you do is for individuals and organizations, and gives you that, hopefully, inspiration to go out and charge exactly what you're worth. And whatever you think that is right now, again, go higher. Just double it, whatever. Yeah, just double it. Because in all reality, you're probably playing a bit small. And when you get that first client at this new level, it's simply going to help you build the muscles to do it more and more and higher and better. And once you taste this, folks, you're going to want more of it, because you'll see the possibilities of earning more and serving more because of that. And your self-image will continue to get better and better, and you'll be able to serve more people at a higher capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Gary, we're coming up at the top of the hour. What would you like to leave folks with today?
Before I say happy holidays again to everybody, I just want to say, if you want to make a difference for another human being, if you want to go out and do something, it can be a smile, it could be something really simple. You could be helping somebody walk across the street, or it could be something major. You could donate to a major charity at a great time of the year to do that. But think about something you could do that will make a difference, and if you can't, invite somebody to be on our call next month, because Drayton and I want to build a community here, not for us, not for us to tell our stories and hear our egos, but for you. We want to build a community, answer questions, help people, make a difference. So invite somebody, bring somebody with you next month, and let people know that we're setting a pace for the industry, and we're making a difference for the entire coaching industry. And And we need help, folks. There's a lot of changes that need to be made and manifested in this industry, and Drayton and I intend to take those topics on and get the word out. So bring a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well
happy
said.
holidays.
Yeah, well said. And folks, I want to echo that and say that we've been very blessed with. We've had hundreds of people sign up for this. We want it to be thousands and then tens of thousands. That's the kind of impact that we want to have. So please spread the word. If you found this valuable, please tell your colleagues about it. And truly, I think we've more than demonstrated, Gary, we're not here to sell you anything, to do anything but address the things that we believe you need to hear, but we want to hear from you too in terms of topics. So when you get the link to the recording, there will be comment section. Please visit that and write some things. Hey, it'd be helpful to hear this, and would you mind addressing this? And have those discussions, and we're happy to address absolutely anything. We're going to have all the transparency that we can around this and share everything that we have with our 40 plus years in this industry. We want to give that to you because we know by doing so you're going to go out and serve even more people at your highest and best capacity. And that's what we're here to do. So with that, on behalf of Gary and myself, we send you blessings and peacefulness this holiday season and look forward to reconvening this time next month. So everyone take good care and be safe over the holidays. Till next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Be well.